Okay, here we go. This is about Git and GitHub for the remote mission to Mars. These instructions are on the learning platform we sent you. So this is mostly about setting up and getting used to using Git and GitHub for the purpose of this work. So we'll just briefly go through these instructions first, and then I'll show some demonstrations. So Git and GitHub are a way of keeping control of your code whilst you're in production. So the whole idea is that as you're making corrections and adding to your work, you're adding points within your work that you can double back to if things go wrong. It's not something we'll be doing through Mission to Mars, but it's what it's used for. It's called version control. So you're controlling which versions you have. So rather than not having version 1 of your code, version 2 of your code, version 34, 35, 36, you don't do any of those file names with v34 or whatever else like that. You just have these little cut points in the code as you work it. So that's done with Git on your computer. But Git that we'll be using for is when you take your Git on your computer, you can push it to GitHub, which is a repository for your code online in the cloud that you can share on your CV. So what we want you to have at the end of doing the work with us is a GitHub repository you can share on your CV, and that will be used hopefully in interviews for colleges and universities or a job. It shows the people you're applying for the work to job with or place with that you have knowledge of version control, Git and GitHub. And it's because you have a project on there, this, and hopefully some more you might do as well. Now you'll know how to use it. It will show you have an interest in the coding subject, as opposed to just saying, yes, I've done some coding. Can I see something? I haven't brought anything with me. It's on your CV. It's a link to your GitHub. An artist will have a portfolio of work in a folder. Software developers have GitHub. It's a similar sort of thing. So this is what this is about. What you have to do, go to GitHub, go to the link here, sign up and create a free account. Fairly simple and normal. Git, you just have to download the file and then install it on your computer. Use all the default settings until you come to this particular one. Override the default branch name and call it main. So main is the main one that you'll be working on. We'll be using that in the commands. So it's main. These two videos here I found really helpful. So they're fairly short, as you can see, 15 to 20 minutes. It goes through all the basic commands that we use, plus a few more, but not many more. It doesn't really confuse it. They're far bigger, more complex videos to learn. These are quite simple. They keep it short and sweet. And if you sort of play around as you play the video, you should get a better understanding of what it's about. And as it says here, we will be keeping the use of Git quite simple, just literally a very few commands, and you'll be repeating the same commands all the time. So you should hopefully kind of remember them by the end of Mission to Mars. And then, of course, if you make more projects and use it again and again and again, you'll build up a whole series of repositories on your GitHub account to showcase how clever you are. So in the Git setup, we're going to be creating a simple folder on my computer here. I want you to do the same thing. It's an empty folder in which we will grab the automatically created content from a GitHub repository I'll also make and pull that into the folder, make some changes, and then push the changes back up. And you'll see the changes being made. So I'll show you how to do that. When you're installing Git for the first time and you open the terminal, which you'll see for the first time, this command here, you only have to do this once. As it said, is only done once. You do it the very first time you use Git. You don't have to repeat it again. So if you make a new folder, you don't do it. So I won't be doing this because I've already done it. My computer is set up for it. Likewise, this as well. Once it's set up, this enables you to communicate to GitHub from Git on your local computer. If you don't do this, it doesn't work. So you do have to go through this. I will try and show you this bit here. I won't be running that on my computer because it'll overwrite what I've already got, but I can show you what the values are. This has caused a little bit of confusion with a few of you. I'll show you what I really mean by this. So these are files like this name and this name. It is not files of that name, They're similar. I can't tell you what yours are going to be because it changes all the point. This is what the whole point about keys is. They're all different. So I'll show you that as well. We'll create a repository on GitHub, and then we'll use these commands to pull that repository down to my computer. You'll see the code on my computer. We'll make a change, upload it back up to Git, and you'll see it's there as well. And this is what we want you to do every time you finish a story on Mission to Mars. You create some code on Tinkercad. Most of it will be on Tinkercad. You save it to your local, copy it to your local computer, and push it up to GitHub. It's the process you would normally do it. Obviously, we're using Tinkercad for the simple reason that we can't give you all the hardware, the Arduino Nano boards, the breadboards, the circuits, the LEDs and wires and stuff like that. So Tinkercad we found is the simplest way of doing it, and actually it's very realistic. The only difference is that the Arduino on the Tinkercad we've mentioned is not the same as the one we have on the rover, but that doesn't matter. Connecting all the wires is exactly the same. So we're going to go through all that. Yeah, so I'll pause this here for the moment, and then I'll set up the computer for the next bit. Here we are on my desktop, nice blank desktop. I'm going to right click with my mouse. I'm going to create a new folder here. So right click new, and there's a folder right at the top there. So here we have a new folder, and I'll give it a name, video demo. There we go. So we've got an empty folder there. If I double click on it, File Explorer will open. Of course, it opens on my other screen, so I have to drag it across. And there we go. As you can see, there is nothing in it. The folder is empty. So right click on the folder, show more options, open Git Bash here. There it is. Here is the terminal. So what we're going to do now is if this is the very first time you've done this, so the first time you've used Git, this is the point where you have to do the Git global commands, git config -- global user dot name, and then the name Joe or whatever. So you do your name followed by the other one for email, followed by the default branch main. So you do those 3 commands. You only do that the very first time. You're opening up a new folder in a later date. You don't do that. You only have to do that the very first time you've installed Git. So that's it. It's done. Nice and easy. I can see what's inside this folder. We already know it's empty, but if I type in ls for list, lowercase ls, it comes back with nothing because there's nothing in there. It's an empty folder. What we're going to do is we're going to fill it with some files from GitHub that will be automatically generated when we create a repository. So now we're going to do the keygen thing. So you have the ss keygen commands to run. So this will create some keys for your computer to share with GitHub to link the 2 together. So first of all, you have to create it with the ssgen command, which is in the instructions. Then we need to go to the folder to find the keys. To go to the folder to find the keys that you have just generated, you type cd change directory. Change directory to what? It is the tilde key /.ssh. If you click enter, we are now in that folder. You can tell because it tells you there's the folder header there. So we can now look inside this folder. If I list what's inside it, there are my 2 keys. The names are very different to the names in the instructions, and they'll be very different to the names that you have as well, except one of them will be just id something, and the other one will be id something .pub. So .pub is the one we're interested in. So to read what's inside there without actually opening any folders or anything, I'll just do it on the screen. It's cat, and then type in the name of your folder. So it's ed25519.pub, the name of your file, not my file, not the file in the instructions, the name of your file, and press enter. It will open up with a really, really long list of text and numbers. That is the key. It's a random scrambling of text and numbers. So copy that. So highlight the numbers like that. Do Control-C on your computer to copy it. And then we'll use it in a second when we go to GitHub. So here I am on my GitHub repository on the main dashboard. You can get to your home page. just by clicking on the little GitHub icon just up here, and you'll come to this page. And you can see there's a nice green button here saying New. So we just click on that. And we're going to create a repository name. I'm just going to call it Mission Practice. There we go. Go down here, keep the repository public. Practice one doesn't really matter, but for your main one, you want it on public because that's the only way you'll be able to share it. And now we want to just, add the README on, and then create repository. Simple as that. And it will create the repository for us. And here it is. Here's the README text, the basic one, which is the title of the README, title of your repository, and there's the actual file, README file, and this is it showing the README. So when somebody comes to your repository, all the work you put in on the README will be shown here, and all the files for each single story will be shown up here. So we can do a simple edit the file just to show you how we can do it. So Mission Practice, that's a heading with a single hash, so a double hash. I'm just going to add in story 1, and there we go. Commit changes, and then a commit message added. First title. You'll be doing commits as you may have read on Git in a short while. So commit changes. There we go. Story 1 is now there. We go back to Mission Practice, the main page. There we have it. Story 1. Simple as that. Are you happy with that? So if you just click on the title on here, this URL at the top is the one you can share with me to share your repository with me. That's the one I want to be able to find. The one you need now to do linking it to your folder on your desktop is just here. It's pretty much the same address. The difference is at the very end, if I can get to the very end, there we go. As you can see, it's got the .git at the end. You can copy that to your clipboard like that. But it's basically https://github.com/9, in my case, Mission Practice. Exactly the same, the URL at the top up there. So it's no different really, except for the .git at the end. All right, so now we've done that, we're now going to switch back to my desktop. So here is the desktop. So here is my folder. So now we have to do the commands to initialize this folder properly, and then connect this to your GitHub. So this is a brand new folder. We don't have to do the global name, global email and stuff like that anymore. We don't have to do the keygen exe because we've already all done that. So if this is your first folder, you've had to do that. So this is your brand new folder. So every time you want to come to it, you open it first time, I should say, show options, git bash here. So here you go, brand new folder. You've already done all the sh keygen stuff before. It's ready to go. So we have to initialize this first. So git init, like that. There we go, it's done. Now we can add the remote repository. So git remote add origin, yes, I'm spelling that correctly. And then the copied don't know why it does that. Sure, I used to do paste in there cleanly. Oops. There we go. So that's the thing. So it's git remote add origin https://github.com, like that. So that is the thing that we do it. So now just press enter. No errors. So hopefully it's worked. So now we can git, all commands with git just start with git, pull, which is pulling what's away from us towards us, which is obviously up the other end, origin main. It's done. If I list now, ls, there's the README. And if I bring up the folder here, there it is. You can see there's the README. Yeah. So there's a number of ways you can edit this. So we can do it inside the terminal with a small program called nano. We just say nano readme.md, that right? Yep. There we go. Mission story. And then we can add in, you can't use the mouse on this, you have to use the buttons on your up and down arrows on your keyboard. So we can add this one. We could say story 1, started Git on local folder, pulled repo from GitHub, changing README for the first time. There we go. We can now press enter. If we save this, you see the commands at the bottom here. So we have exit, which I normally do is this. I just go Control X. And then, do you want to save it? Yes or no? Well, yes. Press yes. There you go. And then just press enter, and that's it in your back. So another way of doing the editing, and I think it's the preferred way, is to go to the README here and right-click, open with. I usually open with Notepad. Oh yeah, edit with Notepad. Here we are, down at the bottom. It's a simple little editor. Edit with Notepad, and there you have mission practice story 1 started Git in a local folder. So it's already got that change in. So we can do another change. Opened README in Notepad. Added comma, added text. Saved, ready to push back to GitHub. There we go. All right. So click Control S to save, or obviously File, Save. See, same thing. Control S. Yep. So if I close that for a moment. So now we need to check what Git is thinking about the folder. We've made some changes. We've pulled some stuff down, so it won't be happy. So Git status, TUS, enter. And so we've modified the README in the red text there. You can see we've modified it. So now what we need to do is add that file properly to the Git version control. So it's remembering this particular file. It's remembered the changes. So we do simply Git. And the easiest way to do it is saying, instead of adding each specific file, I'm giving you the easiest way of doing it, which is add space dot. And as I say in the text and the instructions, the dot is mentioned because you may not be able to see it in the text. I can't make a dot any bigger than a dot. So press enter. We can do git status again. And by the way, you can repeat commands you've already done by using the up and down arrow keys on your computer. So my previous command was git add. The one before that was git status. The one before that was git nano readme. Yeah. So I want git status again, just to see how we are. You can see now we've got a green one. It's happy, modified, and it says changes to be committed. There, changes to be committed. Just to remind us we need to commit. So git commit -m, because we're going to add a message, and then we write in the message inside the speech marks. So we'll add in added more text. Yep. And the more descriptive you are about what you say in your commits, the easier it is as a professional is finding each commit point as to why are you committing the code at this point. Well, this is maybe the end of the day on Tuesday, or it could be that we've made a big commit and we've added a new character in and everything's working fine. Something like that, something really recognizable. But this is just a practice. So git commit added more text. Press enter. Okay, if I do git status again, up, there we go. On branch main, nothing to commit, all clean, we're ready to go. So now we can do git push origin main. So now what we're going to do is we're going to push the code up to GitHub, and then we'll see it on the GitHub site. So git push. And it did it. All nice and clean, no red text, good sign. So now let's go back to the GitHub. So here we go. So if I refresh the page, there you go. Started Git on a local folder. That was the one we added inside Nano. And the second line was what we added on the notepad. So that's it. You can see we've now got that save there. And if you added a folder from your Arduino code, the folder would be pushed up as well. In fact, I suppose I could really show that. We can actually just quickly make one. So let's open the Arduino IDE. Type in Arduino, there we go. A couple of letters is all I need. Let's open up the IDE. There we go. Let's go to File, New Sketch. There we go. So basically got a clean new sketch. So the example sketch, Blink, by the way, I might as well show it to you, is here. File, Examples, Basics, Blink. That's the code that everybody has to find on the very first day. And we don't tell you where to find it. We ask you to be inquisitive and click around and find it. So there's the code just here. So what we'll do is I'll just get rid of that little bit. So this is the code that you start with all your coding on your Tinkercad, really. So we can copy it from your Tinkercad, paste it in here, and then we can go File, Save As, and I'm going to save it on my desktop down to Video Demo. Here we go. And we're going to call it Story 1. Story 1. Simple as that. Save. Okay, so you can see it's saved as Story 1. And I don't know if you've ever done this before. I'm now going to save it as Story 2. Video Demo. I'm going to make a copy. So now Story 2 is identical to Story 1. But I'm going to change Story 2 to be slightly different. So this one will now blink an LED connected to pin 11, which is part of your Story 2. That's fairly easy. All right. So I'm just going to save that. So it's going to save the change. All right. If I now minimize that, you notice now inside my folder I have Story 1 and then the code for Story 1, and then Story 2 I have the code for Story 2. So we now have 3 things inside the folder for the video demo. So we go back to the terminal, we do git status again. There we go, press enter. Doesn't like Story 1, Story 2, so we do git add. There we go, git add. Oops. Git status. Okay, new files added. Great. So we need changes to be committed. So we need git commit -m started first 2 stories. There we go. And press enter. There we go. And if I do git push, yep, git push. There we go. And then I bring up my repository and refresh the page. There you go. There's the 2 stories. There's the code that was on my screen. So now this code that was on your Tinkercad has been saved to your local computer, copied and saved using the Arduino IDE, and then you push it up to your repository here. That's pretty much all it is. And each time you complete a story, think about what you've done, how you completed the story, any problems you came in, what you did really well, and what you're going to carry on doing, what you're not going to do again because it really slowed you down, or things you've learnt. And in the end, you hopefully will have a whole thought processes of how your Mission to Mars work went, and all the stories up here. And what I will do once you've shared your repository with me is come in here, I'll look at your stories, and I can look at these and think, right, okay, this is where you've gone right, this is where you've gone wrong, well done, or whatever, like that. Hopefully all that will make sense to you. So And that is a really important skill. This is the one skill, I think, that we want you to take away from this remote mission to Mars: how to use version control with Git and GitHub. Coding is great, this problem solving is great, and hopefully if you come along to visit us at the mission to Mars, the actual work experience face to face, we can do the other things as well. So good luck. If you have any questions, get in contact. It's what we're here for, but hopefully that will help you.